Well, hello everybody. Happy Thursday. I hope parenting is going good for all y'all, and I hope this series is really helping you to think about your parenting skills and how you can always improve them. And it's important as parents for us to really be on our game and think about what we're doing so that we just don't react to stuff, but that we respond, and we respond carefully and intentionally to raising our kids to be awesome people. Hi, Mom. Hi, Cecily. Hi, Kim, and everyone else joining. I can't keep up with everyone joining. Thanks for the hearts, and thanks for y'all coming back. Oh, natural consequences. A few things happened yesterday that made me think about this. Oh, hi, Cassie. Hi, Grace. And so here are the things that made me think about this. Number one, early in the day, I got a voicemail from a mother asking about premarital counseling for her son and his fiance. Well, it was interesting because I asked her about, when they were engaged, and she said, well, they're actually living together, and he hasn't proposed to her yet. But I'm telling him that they shouldn't be shacking up, but that he needs to get married, and they need premarital counseling. If they don't come to counseling, then I'm not paying for their wedding. And I'm thinking, oh, this mom doesn't get it. And I asked her how old her son was, and I'm thinking he might be really young, and she said he's 30. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So without just like going off on some of my pet peeves, which had just happened, I just said to her very calmly and nicely, well, give my contact info to her and to your son and his fiance or his girlfriend, and maybe he'll be proposing soon. But if they'd like to come in for premarital counseling or even and I would be happy to work with them, but they have to call me. That is one of the prerequisites, is the person needing counseling, the client actually has to call me. But I appreciate you giving them the information, and sure, pass on my contact info and I'll get them in as soon as I can. Well, there's a mother that does not want her son to experience natural consequences. So she's like trying to rescue him out of having what she could see some unhealthy behaviors, in her son's life. Well, you know what? It's unhealthy for her as a mom to be rescuing her son. And she's probably always done this, which is why her 30-year-old son still cannot handle making his own phone call. So this is a really bad sign. Another thing is my husband came home and told me just some news that he had heard about a girl that was our daughter Brittany's age, and they grew up together very, very, very close to her. And hi, Renee, thanks for joining. Very close to her. And this girl, so same age, let's see, she's 27. And she, her parents, her dad had just told my husband that she's back in rehab. Well, she was just in rehab last year. She's back in rehab for drug and alcohol abuse. And she was the most beautiful, sweet, adorable little girl. And we had lots of play dates together, and our kids spent lots of time together. Well, he said, she's back in rehab, and this is the last time I'm paying for her rehab. From now on, she's on her own. Well, I'm thinking, right, because you know what? I observed them rescuing her and doing this sort of parenting style since she was a little girl. We were both at the park and eating ice cream, and I'm telling Brittany, sit right here. Don't run off. Sit still, or else your ice cream will fall off your cone, and you don't want that to happen. Okay? She's telling her daughter the same thing. So we're sitting there. Well, what happens? The girls disobey, we turn, we're engaged in visiting, they run off, the ice cream falls, and with Brittany I say, oh well, that's what happens if you run when you're holding ice cream, it'll fall down. Oh well, it is what it is. Now you don't get to eat your ice cream, now you just have the cone. And what she did is she did just the opposite. She bought her daughter new ice cream. Okay, that is rescuing. She should have never done that. I see parents starting this at a very young age, and then it escalates to they'll be 27 years old and you're still rescuing them out of rehab. They're 30 years old and you're the one trying to rescue them out of an unhealthy relationship. This is not going to work, ever. It never works. Natural consequences are the best. And I love what Brittany calls now with her children the OL principle. Mom, you'll like that with your principles. The OL principle, oh well, natural consequences, so the parents start this very early. You know what? With pull-ups. Think about pull-ups. Now, pull-ups were not even invented when my kids were young. And so, I understand the convenience of pull-ups, but I tell you the problem with it is it removes the natural consequences. We used to potty train our children right around the 2-year-old age. So either just before they were 2, because we wanted them to be potty trained by the time they were 2. That was sort of a milestone. Well, now kids are not potty trained until they're 2 or 3 or even 4. What's happened is parents have removed the natural consequence. So they're spending big bucks on pull-ups. They have removed the natural consequence of feeling wet when you pee in your panties. And so when there's no natural consequence of feeling wet, well then, of course you don't want to potty train. There's no consequence of wetting your pants because you don't feel wet, There's no consequence of pooping in your pants because mom will just change your diaper and change your pull-up. There's no natural consequence, but whenever you begin to transition your mind into really saying, you know what, there's got to be natural consequence. So there you go, the natural consequence, Cecily, and you can just expect it's going to happen. He's going to have underwear, and you'll have to get lots of underwear. Oh, yeah, there too. Okay, good. So y'all, don't be afraid of that natural consequence. This is how they learn. Yes, that's right. You're adult pull-ups because you've got to transition. It's true because it's really your convenience that you don't have to clean up so many mess. It makes it easier for you, but y'all, at some point, your kid needs to experience natural consequence. It would be better for them to experience at the age of 2 or 3 the natural consequence of if they potty in their pants. Little Faith is 2.5, and she's been potty trained for about 6 months. Brittany was really wise and potty trained early. But if you potty in your pants, you're wet. That's a better time to experience that than when she's in kindergarten and she's 5 years old or 6 years old and she potties in her pants and then she's at school and she's wet or she's ruined her whole outfit. That's not a time that you want to experience that natural consequence. You want to experience that early on. But this is something that parents are removing from their kids. See, that's a great, it's hard, it's hard on us parents too, because you take away diapers at night, there's going to be a natural consequence of the bed being wet. So you got to sort of prepare for that until your child begins to make this connection between their own behavior and the natural consequence. Okay, so let's just continue. They forget their homework. Okay, the natural consequences. Oh, well, what'd the teacher say? So you're in trouble at school now? Well, that's the consequence. I'm not going to bring you your homework. I'm not going to do your homework for you. The natural consequence is you're going to get a bad grade. Parents are always like, but I don't want my kid to get a bad grade. And then especially as this escalates into junior high and high school, like the friend I was just telling you about, she never experienced the natural consequence. They were worried about her getting into college. Well, oh, that's so true. Now the parents are blaming the teachers and nobody wants to take responsibility. The kids don't want to take responsibility. So no one's taking responsibility and no one wants the natural consequence. Okay. So no one wants a bad grade. Everybody wants to take this away. But this is an important life lesson, the natural consequence. The anger on your mother's face after bring work up was worse than a bad grade, so you lost points. Yeah. But the natural consequence, y'all, it's not good. It is the best. It is your friend. It is your parenting friend to have this natural consequence. And I love that the Bible talks about this. Trials produce perseverance. This is what makes you stronger. It does. It makes you stronger to experience natural consequence. So resist the temptation of removing the consequence from your children. The natural consequence is huge. So they don't want to eat dinner. Okay. All right, well, dinner time's over. It's bedtime. Well, now they're hungry at bedtime. Oh, well, that's a consequence of not eating dinner. Oh, well, probably tomorrow night you're going to eat. Is it easy to send your kid to bed hungry? No. But you know what? That's their natural consequence. So resist the temptation to remove that, parents. I'm really asking you to be strong here. I know I am. I know I'm asking a lot. Okay, so your kid forgets his water bottle. He's playing soccer. You reminded him. You prepared the water bottle. You reminded him to get it. He's supposed to get it. You told them. You might have even told them more than once. And you might even notice that they have forgotten it. But you know what? Don't you do it. Go on to that soccer game. He doesn't have the water bottle. Is he going to be thirsty? Oh, yes, he is. But I bet you he remembers it tomorrow because he'll remember being thirsty because that's the natural consequence of the irresponsibility of not taking his water bottle. Y'all, I had my kids doing their own laundry when they were 8 years old. It was the best thing I ever did to train them to do their laundry. You guys are giving great feedback here, Wendy. That's awesome. Okay, so I trained them to do their own laundry. Why? Because all 4 kids were starting to play sports and do all these things and be involved in many activities. So when it's time that they needed to have a uniform ready, their glove ready, their dance shoes ready, whatever activity they were in as they grew up, It was their responsibility to get that uniform washed, their responsibility to not lose their baseball glove, to not lose their soccer cleats or their soccer shin guards or their dance shoes or whatever they needed. Is there days that they didn't have it? Oh, yes, there was. Was there a consequence? Yeah, there was. Sometimes the coach made them sit out the game. Because why? Because they didn't have a glove. You can't play baseball without a glove. Or they'd have to borrow one from somebody else and they were embarrassed. Guess what? The next game they took it. And then also, guess what? With natural consequences, they got the grades that they earned. Okay, that's the good news. They also got the poor grades that they deserved if they didn't do the work. So there's always natural consequences, and this is important. So y'all never remove these. Never remove these. It's hard, but it is the best lesson you can do. Your mom brought your stuff to the school for you all the time. Okay, Cassie, that's not good. Don't do that. Oh, you just have to bring it down if they have to wear ugly or uncomfortable clothes. Oh, well, it's the oh, well principle, right? And you can empathize and be like, oh, well, yeah, it's a bummer. Oh, well, I bet next time you'll remember, and you don't want to say, oh, well, that's what you get. You don't want to, shame them for that, but just say, oh, well, that's how you remember. Good. Yeah, don't do the same thing, Cassie. Do what I did, okay? Your mom is precious. I know that. Your mom has such a servant's heart. And y'all, and I know that is the case. When people are very empathetic or have a real servant's heart, they'll just tend to do that. But a strength overdone becomes a weakness. A strength overdone becomes a weakness. I love that story. That was cute. A strength overdone becomes a weakness. So don't overdo the strength of you being empathetic and the strength of you having a servant's heart to do everything for your kids. Don't do it. Don't do that. There are natural consequences, and don't remove those, because you don't want to have to pay the price of having irresponsible kids. I had friends that they bought their kids a car. The kid wrecked the car, and they bought the kids another car. There was no consequence of that. So the kid loses their phone. There's no consequence. We just buy you a new phone. It goes on. I could sit here for hours and give you illustrations of how I have observed parents rescuing their children and not allowing them to pay the consequence. And of course, the parent will like my husband's friend said, this is the last time I'm doing this. This is the last time I'm paying for rehab. Right. They said that last time, and they said it the time before. It's the last time. Okay. You know what? The kid doesn't believe it's the last time. You don't even believe it's the last time. It's probably not the last time. They'll continue to pay for rehab. They're continuing to pay for their daughter's bills. They're continuing to provide her cars, and she's 27 years old. It's never the last time, because you're the problem. You are enabling them to be irresponsible. So basically, you're codependent. So stop. Be a good parent. It's more important. That's right. Oh, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Their kids will ruin their clothes, okay, or they'll leave them at a friend's house, or they'll be irresponsible. You just buy them new clothes. No, there's natural consequences, y'all. So stick with this. This is a great principle. It's a great parenting skill. It does require practice, and you have to start now to not allow yourself, y'all. Don't allow yourself to fall into this really big trap. Okay, guys. All right. Well, happy parenting and happy Thursday. I'll be back at 9 o'clock tonight. Y'all have a great day. God bless you. Bye-bye.